Welcome back to Tales by Tamara Kids. Tonight's adventure is one of the most beloved fairy tales of all time. Get cozy, close your eyes, and let your imagination take you into the forest, where the story of Little Red Riding Hood is about to begin. Once upon a time, in a small and peaceful village, there lived a sweet young girl who always wore a cloak with a hood made of the softest, brightest red fabric. Her grandmother had sewn it just for her, and because she wore it so often, everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. One sunny morning, Little Red Riding Hood's mother packed a basket with warm bread, sweet honey, and fresh fruit. "Take this to your grandmother, dear," her mother said kindly. "She isn't feeling well, and I know a visit from you will cheer her up. Remember, stay on the forest path and don't wander off." Little Red Riding Hood nodded happily. She loved her grandmother very much and wanted to help. She put on her red cloak, picked up the basket, and started down the winding path, through the tall, whispering trees. The forest was alive with gentle sounds. Birds chirped softly, butterflies danced from flower to flower, and sunlight streamed through the branches like golden ribbons. Little Red Riding Hood skipped along, humming a cheerful tune. She felt safe, surrounded by the beauty of the forest. But not far away, a curious wolf was watching. He wasn't angry or fierce, just sly and clever, with bright eyes and a twitching tail. He stepped onto the path and greeted her. "Good morning, Little Red Riding Hood," said the wolf smoothly. "Where are you going on such a fine day?" "I'm visiting my grandmother," she replied innocently. "She lives at the edge of the forest, and I'm bringing her bread and honey." The wolf's ears perked up. "How thoughtful you are," he said with a sly grin. "Why not pick some flowers along the way? I'm sure your grandmother would love them." Little Red Riding Hood thought this was a wonderful idea. She stepped off the path, gathering daisies, tulips and roses, humming as she worked. Meanwhile, the wolf hurried away, his paws padding swiftly over the forest floor. Before long, he reached the grandmother's cottage. It was a cozy little home, with a stone chimney and ivy climbing the walls. The wolf knocked on the door. "Come in, dear," called the grandmother weakly, thinking it was Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf slipped inside. "Oh my, what a lovely home," he said, and before grandmother could say another word, he tucked her safely into the wardrobe. He had no desire to harm her. He simply wanted to play his trick. He pulled on her nightcap, wrapped a shawl around himself, and climbed into bed, waiting with a grin. Moments later, Little Red Riding Hood arrived at the cottage. She knocked gently on the door. "Come in, my dear," came a voice from inside. She stepped into the room. It was dimly lit, with the fire flickering softly. "Grandmother," she said slowly, tilting her head, "what big eyes you have." "The better to see you with, my dear," the wolf replied, his voice rough but gentle. "Grandmother, what big ears you have." "The better to hear you with, my dear." "Grandmother, what big teeth you have." "The better to..." The wolf couldn't hold back his grin any longer. He leapt from the bed with a playful growl. But just then, the door burst open. A kind woodsman who often watched over the forest had heard the commotion. He stepped in quickly and shooed the wolf away. "Off with you now! This is no place for tricks." The wolf, surprised, darted out the door and vanished into the trees, never to bother Little Red Riding Hood or her grandmother again. Little Red Riding Hood opened the wardrobe and helped her grandmother out. Together, they laughed with relief and sat down to enjoy the bread, honey and fruit from the basket. As they ate, grandmother smiled warmly. "Remember, dear, always stay on the path and be careful who you speak to." Little Red Riding Hood nodded. "I will, grandmother, I promise." The sun set gently behind the trees, casting a golden glow across the forest. The cottage was filled with warmth, love, and the sweet smell of fresh bread. Little Red Riding Hood felt safe, happy and grateful. And from that day on, she always remembered to stay on the path, carrying with her the lesson of kindness, courage, and family love. And so, little dreamer, the story of Little Red Riding Hood comes to an end. The forest is quiet now, the stars twinkle above, and it's time to drift peacefully into sleep. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Tales by Tamara for more bedtime adventures. Good night, sweet dreamer.